Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of this season's ESC Daily Show on day 5 already again of the contest here in Kiev. I'm joined today by Toby from Aftonbladet and by Gísli Baldursson, the Icelandic commentator for this Eurovision Song Contest. What's the life of a commentator like in this week 1? Because you don't really have to be on TV just yet.
No, except your TV station. No, it's basically just watching all the rehearsals, trying to pick up something to say, going to the press conferences, asking about the things that you don't know already, or some of the things that may not be mentioned in the official documents. So just trying to pick up good stuff to say, and for Iceland this year, it's mainly focused on the Tuesday. Which is when we are in the semi-finals.
So, and for you just told me that you were working at Eurovision now for 12 years. The last couple of years must have been quite special for you, because Sweden's now on a record hunt, going to reach Ireland for the 7 victories.
Yeah, of course, and it's always more interesting to cover Eurovision when Sweden does well, because our readership is mostly interested in Sweden, even though we do cover Eurovision as a whole in the contest as well. But sure, it's exciting, but for me personally, it's much more fun going abroad, covering something in Ukraine rather than doing it back home, of course.
So we've been in Ukraine for a few days now, and let's take a look at what has happened here over the past few days. We've seen all the rehearsals from the second semi-finalist, and one of the ones that stood out the most, especially compared to previous expectations, is Austria, running on air, running on the moon as well. This is Romania. They're still not really happy with the camera angles during their first rehearsal. They're working on that to really capture the chemistry between the two. And then this is Jacques Houdek from Croatia during his press conference. A few awkward moments with journalists asking, well, not even really questions. We'll go into that a bit later during this show. Just as much as we're going to talk about Bulgaria, of course, one of the big favorites to challenge Italy in this competition for victory. We've seen his first rehearsal. You are looking at his first rehearsal right now, staged, of course, by Sacha Jean-Baptiste. But the big name for us in this second semi-final remains Anja Nissen, competing for Denmark. Of course, she is the voice of Australia, and we're going to talk about her and her outfit. Anja Nissen from Denmark and her much discussed outfit. Well, this, of course, what you just saw wasn't the outfit. That was the outfit she wore at the press conference. But did you see what she was wearing at the rehearsals? What did you think about it, Toby?
Well, it's going to ruin her show. I'm not a big fan of her song, but she delivers it very well. She can really sing, and she does a great performance. But that outfit, and the fact that she's actually going to wear that outfit come the semi-final. Yeah, she's definitely a contender for the Barbara Dexter Award this year.
Well, I because we saw a clip of the press conference, it was a funny bit that she had the exact same outfit as Svala from Iceland had the day before at her press conference. Yeah. And which was a little bit of a faux pas. I mean, she definitely didn't watch that press. And I mean, there were only 30 pieces of that outfit made by an Icelandic designer. So it was a bad luck for them for her basically to follow in Svala's footstep. But Svala had a good tweet about it.
Yeah, I saw it.
You wore it well. What you gonna wear today?
And there were quite a few memes going around as well. Who wore it best?
Yeah.
So it's for good fun.
Yeah, but they were both good spirits. But the dress on stage, I actually had to ask 3 times: is this what she's going to wear? Because I thought, like some people during the first rehearsal, they're just in their pajamas or something. They might wear the real shoes to feel what the shoes are like towards the surface, but this is actually what she was going to wear.
People change their clothes.
Yeah, and I was told today that she had actually sent some of it back to Denmark to have it fixed, right?
Yeah, because the lower part, the darkest part of it, at least Danish radio is reporting this, that the lowest part, it only made it look like she had very short legs. So they have sent it back for something to be fixed. Perhaps it accidentally disappears so that she has a completely new outfit.
Yeah. Well, it didn't. I mean, I just thought it wasn't her dress, and I thought it was rather, bold dress to have on as, everyday dress. Not sure how it will look on the night. Maybe it's a little casual, maybe for the night, but.
Oh, you commentators, you're always trying to play it so nice.
Well, I mean, but she's good-looking Danish Australian girl who probably can carry anything, and at least she can carry a tune.
Well, that definitely helps in this semi-final. There's someone else out there who we also saw him on the clip, who he can carry a tune, but at the same time I'm still wondering if this song has any like jury appeal. Croatia, have you seen it yesterday?
Yes.
It's the kind of thing that either juries can go for completely because vocally it's good, or they can completely trash it because it looks cheesy. Is that the right word?
I would say it's not quirky enough. It's just cheesy in the kind of too sentimental. It's supposed to evoke too much feelings that it doesn't really do. It doesn't do it for me at all. But I can feel that he's trying to get people to feel emotional. But despite the fact that he delivers the song well, I just feel ice cold.
No, I'm all warmed up. But I mean, I wouldn't put it on in my living room. You know, definitely not. But it's some parts of me really love it because it's what makes Eurovision watchable, because it's circus. It's something ridiculous and out of the blue. And then I met the guy after his rehearsal, and he was really nice, really, you know, just a good-spirited person to talk to, different from the larger-than-life persona that's on stage, or personas, I should say.
Yeah, since it's a duet with himself,
yeah,
which makes it really, really, really cheesy.
Yeah, and they seem to love each other, those two singing there.
He is in love with himself in that song, he is. But you said that it might not attract the fans as much, but during the press conference yesterday, we had a fan journalist standing up crying, not asking a question, but just letting him know how much
we're gonna take a look at. We're gonna talk about that later on this show already. For now, before we move on, just one more thing. We discussed Denmark already. Now you're from Sweden, you're from Iceland. There's another Nordic country in this semi-final. Basically, the complete opposite from Croatia, right? Because you said this is for Eurovision. This is out of everything, and then we have Norway in there, which is basically a current hit song.
Yes, it's not a hit. But the thing is, I really like the song, but they haven't done anything with the staging to actually make the TV audience attracted to it. He looks too insecure, and it's not made for television. And when it comes to Eurovision, you've got 3 minutes on stage, and it's the TV audience you need to attract. And no, Jost doesn't do that. I'm sorry. And it really upsets me because I like the song.
You could be right, but I mean, you've seen it before. I hadn't seen it in the original version. I just saw it on stage yesterday, and I thought it was okay. I mean, they have the mask with the blinking lights, and I didn't know they were doing that kind of Daft Punk thing.
And people at the night will see it for the first time.
They will see it for the first time, and then there's the trombone or whatever it's called. And so there are some things there. So if you have never seen them before, it could make, and like you say, it's a modern pop song. And well, I'm not sure, but they might cut through because of that.
I hope they will qualify because I like the fact that it's a contemporary song that could reach an audience, but it hasn't really done that in Norway, and it's not anywhere in any lists anywhere else. But I hope they will qualify for the sake of Norway and for the sake of a modern song actually making it, not only based on the performance.
Well, because some of the modern pop songs have actually, it's been a bit of a letdown for some of them on the stage here, because you can do a proper radio song, but if it doesn't, you know, do something extra on stage, maybe it falls flat, like you're saying Norway does. I don't necessarily agree completely, but Belgium, I know we're not talking about the first semi-final, it's a little bit like that. Everyone loved that song on the radio, but then it came on stage and we all expected a little more Eurovision.
Yeah. So how do you stage a modern pop song? Let's take a look at what Bulgaria did the last couple of days.
I mean, I just felt I got contacted by Bulgaria, and I think that they are a very interesting country to work with. I think their last year's selection was very strong. Polly had a very good song, and it's the same songwriter this year and composer. And that's always interesting when a country can give you more. Like I like more contemporary songs. It's right up my alley. I like to build performances that are more contemporary. And this song just has that, I don't know, it's so poetic. And he is so poetic, but it has that edge. It sounds so new. It sounds tomorrow. So I was just like, let me start with it when I heard the song. You know, I just want to get in there and start with it. My mind went shooting off straight away when I heard the song. So I'm super happy to be working with them.
Sasha Jean-Baptiste, and Bulgaria is one of her 4 entries that she staged this year, and one of the ones that the betting markets consider a potential winner, actually. What do you guys think of the rehearsals that we've seen, the rehearsal that we've seen so far from Bulgaria?
I think he's done fairly well. I was surprised that the betting markets didn't really lower his odds a lot after the rehearsal, but even lowered Italy a little bit more, because I was sure that they were gonna shorten it a little bit there
and come closer together.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think it's a nice staging. He does a modern pop song in a nice way on a Eurovision stage. And okay, I'm partly biased here because I love basically everything Sasha Jean-Baptiste does, and she's done a lot of work in Sweden since she is Swedish, and I think this is definitely a contender for the victory.
I'm not as fond of neither the song nor the staging. I think it's a little bland, but I mean, who knows?
It's just because I was positive. You're going to be negative.
No. We've agreed on almost everything. But I mean, it's nice, and the guy is nice. He looks a little bit frightened, and he's not the only one in this competition this year. He is quite young, and it shows. Hopefully, he will get his groove, and so have more of an oomph in his presentation on the night. But I mean, I don't see this. I see this finishing outside of the top 5.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, not in the semi, but in the final.
Yeah. Because I'm quite sure that a cute young guy like that, he can look a little bit frightened as long as he gets his looks into the camera, so that the young girls start voting, because they will fall in love with him. There are other young guys that will be more frightened and sing worse and will be out of the competition because this guy is taking all the votes.
so he can get away with it then.
I would say because his song is a little bit more contemporary and more right now, together with him being a little bit more charming than the other young blokes singing. For instance, the Irish singer who can't hit a note at all, at least not the high ones. So I think that this is the guy that the teenage girls watching, they're going to fall in love with him and they're going to vote for him.
So how about your own entry then, if we can make a quick switch to semi-final 1? You're saying Kristian can get away with something like this. I was watching this morning's second rehearsal for Robin Bengtsson, and last night at the apartment we were watching, maybe it's not a fair comparison, but we were watching Erik Saade, Popular. Robin is a genuinely nice guy, but I'm not so sure if that's the kind of guy you need for this song. What do you think?
Well, Robin is not the young guy that attracts the teenage girls. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit more mature in his look, so he will attract a little bit older audience, and I think he's more of the handsome guy than the sexy guy, so that will also attract a certain audience rather than another. But that also makes him not dangerous. No one will not vote for him because he is too sexy or too naughty. He's a nice bloke, and as long as he delivers the vocals and get a few of those eyesights in the camera, I'm quite sure he will do well.
Will Iceland vote for him?
Definitely. I mean, I'm not going to promise anything, but Iceland definitely will give, because we also follow Melodifestivalen, so we know him already, and so that's a benefit that he has. And also just he's like you say, he's very likable, and the song was stronger today at the rehearsal than I had anticipated, because I mean obviously the staging is great and it's very perfect. It's all IKEA möbelfakta. It's been tried and trusted. It's great, but I thought that it might lack something original, something you know,
his vocals were
sexy
quite good
or something,
as well.
but it doesn't lack that. It doesn't lack that at all. It's really exciting, the whole act. Way more exciting than I thought. I thought it could be a little too dull in its perfectness, but it isn't. It's good, and he is alive, and they managed to enjoy themselves on stage, and it's a great opening for the show, and obviously will go through to the finals, and I would have him in the top 5.
It's an interesting thing though, you say that Icelandic people, you already watched the Eurovision Song Contest with 95% of your population, and now you're saying they're also watching other people's pre-selections and stuff like that. Tell me about this. How come Eurovision is so popular in Iceland?
Well, I mean, there are many possible answers. Number one, I mean, the main number that people throw around is like 99%, because that's the sheer. No one in Iceland is watching any other TV station when Eurovision is on. So, and maybe that's because we don't have that many TV stations. I mean, Sweden have way more TV stations than we do. So if you're watching TV at all on the 9th of May, you're obviously watching Eurovision. And I mean, I think it's like 70% of the nation, or 60-something% of the nation, which is watching, and that's a lot. And I mean, I've mentioned this before. Maybe it's because we didn't get Eurovision until 1986. Maybe it's so we're making up for our lost time, or basically that we learned how to take it not too seriously. Because when we started doing this, we thought, okay, we're gonna win this thing, and then we didn't win, and it was a big shock for us. Okay, we're not good at this. And then we became okay. So we became number 2 twice, and we've done okay. But we've also learned how to make fun of the competition in a nice way. So we care about it, but we can also make fun of it, which is the right way forward, I think.
So in that way, was it also easier now to deal with? Because between 2008 and 2014, you had an amazing streak of results all the time going to the final. Now for I think 2 years in a row, you didn't qualify. Mm-hmm. Is it, you say, does that make it easier now for you to deal with potentially weaker results that you've now had?
Well, maybe. I mean, and also we're quite connected to the rest of Scandinavia. So even if Iceland doesn't qualify, we will still have someone to root for. You know, either Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and we always do that. And those songs have become mildly popular in Iceland, so people know them. So it's not only about Iceland. We just like the competition itself, and then we like the quirky, funny stuff. And there are quite a lot of news. The big newspapers send their reporters here, and so it's not completely focused on Iceland, especially because we know that we won't always qualify and we might never win, but we still want to enjoy it.
For Sweden, it is extremely important to qualify. The year we didn't qualify, when in Norway, 2010, the ratings really dropped from the semi-final to the final. But Eurovision is really important for Sweden as well, but I wouldn't say that other songs from other countries are well known in Sweden yet. Instead, during the final, the Swedish audience will pick 1 or 2 or 3 songs that will become hits later on. Because right now, since Melodifestivalen is so big in Sweden, it's much bigger than Eurovision ever is. Even though Eurovision is still among the highest rated programs each year. But we have 28 songs from Melodifestivalen that is now on the list.
And the hugeness of that pre-selection also influenced, I guess, your way of reporting on Eurovision.
Oh, definitely. Both the fact that the interest for Eurovision is really big in Sweden, so there are lots of Swedish journalists here. Not at the moment, they will arrive this weekend or next week, but my newspaper takes it really seriously. So I've been here for a couple of days now, and we do extensive reporting on it. But we don't only follow the Swedish artists, but we do cover Eurovision as an event where we try to do it properly investigative as well. Not only reporting on rehearsals and who sang a false note, but actually taking the competition seriously to make sure that everything works out according to the rules.
Swedish journalists taking Eurovision very seriously. It doesn't work like that for everyone here at the press center. Let's take a quick look at this video.
The radio stations in South Africa has listened to all the songs, and your song was picked as the most radio friendly by a female artist. So here's a little reward for you.
Oh wow, thank you. Thank you so much.
Which are your favorite ABBA songs? And I wonder if you could sing a bit of that ABBA song.
I am very, very proud to have met you online, and I just want to express, I don't have a question, I just want to tell you that what your song means.
Oh God, thank you so much. Can I come down and give you a hug? No, come on.
No way.
Funny moments at Eurovision press conferences, but as a journalist, your fingers must be, itching sometimes. At least mine.
Cringing, especially when this guy, who apparently is a huge fan of the Croatian artist, when he starts crying and he doesn't have a question, he just wants to make himself known as the guy that loves the song so much, there are so many times during the Eurovision that you can meet your idol and tell him this, but please don't do it during a press conference.
What I love is also when the artists themselves become starstruck because of another artist. And that's kind of what Eurovision is about, because the closeness is so, I mean, we're meeting stars here that we would never meet, if you would travel to Russia or, okay, bad example, or if you would travel to any of the countries competing this year, you would never be able to meet them because they're such huge stars. But here, they're just like, me and you, and you can meet anyone. So standing up to cry is sort of a silly thing to do when you could have a beer with him,
And at the same time, it's better that things like this is asked during the press conferences than that it's completely quiet. Because so I prefer fans asking things like, "Oh, you did that voice in that Disney movie. Can you please sing that song for us?" Absolutely, go ahead, as long as there's not another question that is more important to be asked.
Yeah.
So which questions, to round it up, which questions are you going to ask in the upcoming days? What are your plans to do when you're here?
Well, Italy is of course one of the major favorites this year. So I'm trying to schedule a one-on-one interview with Francesco because I'm quite sure that song will also become a hit in Sweden. So I think that our audience will want to know a little bit more about the ape in his performance, for instance. So that's what I'm going to focus on.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's
almost ready for the show already?
Yeah, it's not going to be anything original that I can tell you now. I mean, I'll just go on trying to find bits and pieces that will be interesting for the Icelandic audience. I'm not done yet, but I have to do 3 shows next week, so I won't fire out all the ammo I have on Tuesday. So, but the next few days are very important for us journalists to find anything interesting.
Few more long days to come, not just for them, but also for us, for ESC Daily. So stay tuned to escdaily.com, and thank you for watching the ESC Daily Show tonight.